Hey everyone, it's Chippa again with another Chippa in the third person video log. Hope you guys are doing alright on this Wednesday morning. I think it's the 8th of May, 2019. Captain's log. Yes. Anyway, you can find me at patreon.com/thechippa. If you're interested in supporting me, it's my secondary income. I have a stay-at-home wife, 2 kids. I'd rather have the extra things I do be something fun. Also something that includes her. Less time spent away from that and more time spent being inclusive and having a good time. So I do the Chipman Brothers Tangent. I do Creating Geeks with my wife Sarah. I do the Talkbuster podcast, and I do Shooting the Shit with Chippa. Currently shooting the shit with Chippa. The newest episode is my second part of my conversation with Elijah. That's Leonidas701 on Twitter. He's a really cool guy, really interesting. We've spent a lot of time going back and forth on Twitter. He had a good perspective on geek culture, both being a parent, a kid of parents that emigrated to the United States from the Ukraine after the fall of the Berlin Wall, and also just kind of coming from a different culture, really. So he's introduced me to a lot of cool stuff. He wrote a cool story that I added as a PDF on the Patreon page. So if you go to patreon.com/thechippa, and the most recent episode of Shooting the Shit, you'll see Elijah's story. Please read it. Comment on there or find him at Elijah701. Let him know what you think. He's in college right now looking for constructive criticism, or just, hey, you liked it or hey, you didn't. So help him out. Check that out. Next week, we've got my second episode that I recorded with Scott, who was my original boss at Blockbuster. I worked with him in Salem. We recorded that episode. You've heard it. We worked in Woburn. We've recorded that episode. It's coming next week. And then I've got in line about 6 or 7 other recordings and about 6 or 7 already lined up interviews for all the different shows. So it's an exciting time for me. If you were a patron, it would be an exciting time to see that your money is well spent. And if you're not, and you could spare $1 to see my happy smiling face and listen to my happy voice bring you laughs and good times, then please do it. If you can, of course. Don't put yourself out. It's more of if you can. I always give back. I got a raise at work, like I told you guys, a promotion last week, and I immediately upped my patronage to a few of my favorite people that I'm a patron of, and I intend to do more, especially if you need it. If I'm already a patron of you and you hear this and you're going through hard times, you need a little extra bump, let me know. I'll bump mine up a little bit. I can only give attention where I think it's needed, so please get in contact with me. If you want to collaborate or something, I'm always happy to do that as well. So with that, thoughts for the day. So Disney released its post-Fox merger film docket. And, there's some interesting announcements coming out of it. They moved New Mutants. I hope that's good, but as far as I'm concerned, we should kind of let the X-Men franchise die a little bit. Bring it back some other time. Maybe intersperse the characters into the MCU or into the Deadpool movies. I don't know, but it seems like a dying breed. We should reinvigorate that somehow. With that, they've canceled the Gambit film that was going to star Channing Tatum. Thank God we don't need any more of this. I'd love to see Channing Tatum in an X-Men movie, but we need it under the new leadership, I think. Release the new co-leadership. They can end up like the Sony Marvel Spider-Man movies, which have worked out pretty well so far. They've announced 3 new trilogy Star Wars films and other Star Wars films as well. Untitled, of course. I love Star Wars, so, a lot of people, I hope it's Rian Johnson's, I hope it's the Game of Thrones guys. I just hope we get more Star Wars. That's my outlook on it. But for the Last Jedi haters out there, and I know there's some bits I agree with you guys on, but still, I love that movie. Of the new ones, I think it's the best that we've gotten. And I mean that. I give Johnson credit for trying to do something different. I think he's a great filmmaker. I love his movies leading up to The Last Jedi, and, you know, he did a wonderful thing. Why shouldn't he get, you know, to be in control of something he breathed some new life into? So, you know, yeah, I really want to see his movies, but I also just really want to see more Star Wars. You know, let me know your thoughts. I'm sure you got them. But, you know, I'd love to see, you know, with the rise of Skywalker, and I'm not saying I'm worried, but this is closing out the Skywalker saga, hopefully. So it's going to become more Skywalker-centric. And The Last Jedi, well, it was half of the story was centric around Luke Skywalker. It was also this Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse. Anyone can be a Jedi. Anyone can be Spider-Man. Sort of ideal. And if that's the world that Johnson's continued trilogy is going to go deeper into, I want to see that. I'm one of the few people that thought expanding the universe and seeing more of it in Solo wasn't a bad thing. It was a pretty small movie, you know, it's a prequel that you can't do a ton, but it was a prequel that had fun and owned what it was, and I really enjoyed that about it. Same thing with Rogue One, you know. So keep them coming, you know. Keep them coming. I want to see other Jedi. I want to see maybe a new take at, you know, having more characters and more people to follow around. This is going to be fantastic. I want to see if maybe, since, you know, they're not Skywalkers, at least, God, I hope not, JJ, please don't make them Skywalkers, at least in the familial sense. Rey and Finn, I'd like to see them continue on into that trilogy. I want to see more of them. I want to see more of the stormtrooper who denounced his allegiance. I want to see more of, you know, the girl who doesn't have a backstory and we don't know where she's coming from, who's all of a sudden an incredibly powerful Jedi, and had these like kind of things lying dormant in her. It's really cool. Like, why don't we think this is cool? So I want to see more of it. So that's the Star Wars take. It's funny, you know, they announce all these movies. It's cool. Disney Fox. Maybe they should release the list separate still. I know that they want to show off their new acquisition. But, you know, maybe it'd be a little bit separate. It's a big list, right? Multi-page. Good times. But to me, the most exciting thing on the entire damn list, maybe it's just me, let me know what you think, is the announcement of a Bob's Burgers movie. And I know we had heard about this, but it's coming out. It's coming out soon. It's going to be in 2020. I am jumping around with joy. I know I'm not in the minority on this show because it's very popular. But a large portion of my group of friends either don't watch it because they feel like you can only have Archer or Bob's Burgers with H. John Benjamin, which I think is a lie. I've been kind of slower on adopting Archer, but I think it's awesome. It's a little bit more visceral. You know, it's kind of like sitting down and watching BoJack Horseman. I love it, but it's, you know, sometimes I just want, you know, Simpsons style fun. And that's kind of the gap that Bob's Burgers is filling for me. I still really like The Simpsons, but I think Bob's Burgers is, you know, it's immediate. It's now. It exists now. The family is real. The situations make a lot of sense. I love that families watch it together. You know, don't know if any of you guys out there, you know, are of this generation, but The Simpsons was a show we sat down as a family and watched. Like, this was a big deal. You know, I don't know if people do that so much anymore. And so I'm hoping, you know, that's something Bob's Burgers can be for people. I hope the movie makes a killing. Because it sounds like a great idea. I love everybody involved. I think the kids are great. I won't necessarily great role models for what they do because, you know, they're kids. They make mistakes. They do kind of evil, mischievous kid stuff. But I'd say they are really good role models because they speak to very real things about kids. And the other thing is these kids obviously have different things going on with them, whether it's a medical condition or if it's just being a kid or being a kid in today's society. But they don't point it out. You know, they don't go, oh, the reason X character behaves this way is because, you know, they're autistic or they have Downs or this happened or they're coddled or they have allergies. It's just the kids exist. it's like the 80s films with like the kids characters. They're there and they don't have to explain it. And other than, it's just who they are. And they're accepted for being that way. Or made fun of a little bit by the other kids, but those are usually the bad guys, So I'm absolutely ecstatic about a Bob's Burgers movie. And on everything on that list, even though I'm, excited for more Marvel movies eventually, like in 2022 or 2023 or whenever they're going to start, post this Endgame and Guardians 3, when is all this going to happen? But it's really exciting. And, like I've said before, it sucks that it takes a monopoly buying out everything we love to give us what we love. But at the same time, it's great that they're investing in it. It's great that they didn't buy them up and just end them. Or, use them as a springboard to hawk another property. We don't have like the Frozen Marvel crossover, the Frozen Star Wars crossover yet. We did have the Lego Frozen crossover, which I thought was cool. But, for right now, I'm happy. I'm being pandered to, but you know what? Sometimes a little happiness, sometimes a little pandering that isn't actually hurting anyone outside of the workers. There is that being forced to rush and do things. But you know what? Work is work. If a little bit of happiness can be given to me by a lot of people making a lot of money and doing cool things, I'm cool with it. And if that gets me a Bob's Burgers movie, I love it. So this has been the Chippa. I'll see you guys on the other side.